Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith, the In the Black Quant VTF here at T3 Live, and if it's Tuesday, it's the Wheels in Motion show, and we're going to do it a little bit differently today because when volatility picks up and we have all these earnings coming out, a lot of this stuff we're going to be doing on the fly, and what that means is that when you see like as much movement in one day as we would have seen in almost a whole week or a whole month come back in September, we're staying on a lot of 60 minutes and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a little different today, but we can take a look at what we got going on. So with the SPY, what we do know is we're still 2-2 monthly reversal, right? We know that. And that's going to be a tough one to change, right? But because things are moving so fast with higher volatility, things can change. So if we go to the weekly, here we do have inside week and down, and we're still there. So if anybody thinks we're out of the woods, certainly not, because if we open and start moving lower on the 60 in the daily, we have full time frame counting to the downside with an inside week break still. On the daily, here's the thing: you got your higher highs and lower lows, and here's your triangle. So the question is, what's the next two? We're closer to taking out today's highs than we are taking out today's lows. Anything can happen, but if we start dropping in, we might get ourselves another inside day. So that's why I can pull back on saying the inside weeks and down, because if we're nowhere near taking that stuff out, we want to know about that. Now we could have full time frame continuity to the downside, like I just said, and that might do it, but we'll pay attention to that. QQQ. QQQ does this. It breaks it, but it comes back into the range, and it's still a 2 week pattern, still inside of this. So we really want to try and get outside of that. Daily comes rallying back, so we're closer to taking out the highs. And then you got anybody short against this, this, and this could get taken out. If they want to bring them up, we'll see what a lot of earnings have to say about that. The Dow Jones Diamonds, slight lower low there, 3 month. Here it goes 3 on the month. That can't change. And then on the daily, we go down here and make the slight lower low. So the question is, can you re-break this? What's the next two? We're closer to taking that out. Do we drop it and go inside day tomorrow? Like I said, things are going to keep going. If we go to the small caps, the small cap's a little worse. So small cap's somewhat there in the even, could easily take that out. And it's still weakened down on this, and we still know that that monthly is the 2-1-2 reversal down. So small cappers still have another better chance. If we go look at just a couple of the sectors, you're going to see the FAS here, weekly, takes that down, and once again we came rallying back a little bit, but you can look at stuff like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and you see Wells Fargo. You can see how tight this triangle is, slight higher high, slight lower lows. Did we see that coming? We did here in the weekend video, and so now triangle a little tight. Banks a slightly weaker, but you know it's the real weakness is going to be in the energy so far. And you got XLE, and you can look at what XLE is doing here on the weekly, and XOP and OIH. That's really your market weakness so far, and you can see that 3-2 weaker down here in OIH. Then we know about that, and there's APC. So we get these things that didn't come back very much today with the rally back in the market. You got Helmerich Payne still near the lows. You've got like XEC, SU. See how PXD is doing. You can just keep going around. There you go, and you can see the blood over here. And EOG. Here you can see still right near the lows and going out towards the lows, and some of the stuff's not coming up right though because it did rally back a little bit better than that. Okay, weekly, no, that's not right. So some of these rallying back a little bit more than this is showing, but you get the general idea. XEC, so another one, an XEC coming back into the inside month here, and so if we go to crude oil UCO here, you can see that goes outside of the month today with the big slam downer. And the weekly doing this. There's your 2-2 reversal and coming into here. So if on any weakness so far, there's that. We have Kimberly Clark came out today. And I don't know why these things are messing up on me. 104.14 on the day. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. So hold on. Let me get these things all tightened up here. So KMB, as you can see, starting off this week after the earnings coming out, hanging near the lows. Jack in the Box. And Jack in the Box here, you can see this is inside month and down. All right, and going toward the lows and went out very near the lows, so you can keep an eye on stuff like that. Some industrials like Parker Hannifin, PH, get hit. Now the question is whether that's going to be it or not, but you know, they keep going until they stop going. Wynn Resorts, Wynn Resorts gaps down and holds, so still having a rough month as Wynn Resorts, and you can watch that, of course, with LVS. And we've got Penn Gaming coming down here. All right, and Penn Gaming, that's having a rough one. And we've got, let's see how MGM's doing. MGM to a lesser extent, MLCO. So anything, like I said, MLCO actually rallied back a little bit. I'm having a problem with these charts here, unfortunately. But rallies back a little bit. But like I said, as the week goes on, we'll see. Cat Tractor gaps down. So how do you get out of this? Do you go 2-2 and try and come back up in the gap, or keep failing? Because you can see this monthly is a debacle, outside month, and the weekly with the rev strat up here calls it bam right there. Also, a couple more PSX in the refiners. So the refiners, which sometimes go counter the rest of the guys, and MPC coming back a little bit. EQT, and you can see this is what you look for in the triangle amount. 2 down, 2 up, 2 up. Ready? Boom, shooter, and take all this out. But you've met that objective by doing that. But you are still bright red, and we'll see. We got an oil number in the morning. And the transports, you've got Kirby having a tough time here in the week. How's Norfolk Southern? Norfolk Southern, you can keep an eye on that. So a lot of these things having some problems there. Let's see, Rider Systems and some of the chemicals, LYB. So we got that. Eastman Chemical. And we've got a lot of earnings coming out in tech and stuff like that, but we got NVIDIA barely moving here at all, too. NVIDIA doesn't rally back with the gang today, as you can see this. Just a doji here, and that's all it could muster. So either side of that's going to get our attention tomorrow. More industrials having problems. Eaton Corp, ETN, trying to go to the lows of the week and the month. Clovis in the bio. And Clovis rallies back on the day. We'll see if it hammers back or not, but you can see this weekly having some problems there. ENDP, little guy, keep an eye on this one. This thing's hanging right near the highs, barely affected. So we can watch to see if that thing heats up, and I'll get to some of the upside things in a second. FAST, this is in the weekend video, and we're going to see if we can complete this big broadening formation with this triangle down like so. Gaps down and just kind of sits there, so we'll see if there's any follow through to there. With the banks, KRE actually came back today and was having a rough weeker, but once again, we'll see what the next two is. Like, much closer to taking these up, and that's why I'm avoiding going through a ton of like outside or inside weeks to the downside, just because everything's going to change over over the course of the week or even the course of an hour. If we go to also with the cat John Deere. Doji there on the day, but we'll see if this week continues back through into these things, and you can watch Agco with that. On the upside, at least for a few things, and I'm going to get to some more upside, PayPal. And PayPal already had the earnings out, and it's above last week's highs, and that's something we want to look for, and we'll get to in a second. And you can see this. Outside day to the upside, and this is something you look for is when you get that opening 60 reversal here, and something similar to that was LEA. And the great thing about LEA here is you can see this gaps down 60, takes them out, and goes 2-2 over 137.23. And the reason that price is key is that the weekly high, taking out last week's highs, was at 137.79. It's right there. Boom. All right. And there you go. $2, $3, $4, whatever. But being able to identify that, because one of the things I'm about to show you is like, because this game is a lot of psychology, we want to go after the people that are getting jammed. And you might think that when the market gaps down, that's all the long side. Well, that's part of it. But certainly if you're short anything and the market's gapping down and reversing and taking out last week's highs, anybody who shorted this thing last week, screwed, right? We can stick it to them, and that's what we do. Speaking of sticking it to them, Tesla. And Tesla came in here, and we got a little pop in the morning. We weren't sure why, and they said they'd announce their earnings actually tomorrow. And Andrew Left goes long from short, and there's your hammer and 2-2 day to the upside. And you can see this greater try up in here, the higher high, the lower low, the higher high, the lower low. And now we're back up through it to try and come through there. It also took out the weekly high, but you do have earnings coming out, and we're back into an old 3. Remember the outside week? That's the triangle I just showed you, because you're going to see that when you take it outside bars and you go into shorter time frames. That's how you can identify those broadening formations. You also got McDonald's. Boom. 3-1-2 Chicago to the upside on a gap. And nice move there from the gapper CDNS. CDNS, and what that causes too is the inside we can up, stick it to them, and going up towards the highs. SNP. S&PS here. And so another thing we were looking for today, and it was in the halftime show, is you get anything taken out last week's highs, and there's only so many ways to reverse, and this is it. 2, 1, 2 on the daily. You had this, the 312 Chicago and upper S&PS. So one of the things you want to be able to do is know where and what you want to look for. And so one of the things that is an important tool that I'm using all day is my scanner here. And so what I want to know here is my inside bar to the upside. And oops. No, this is not the version I use. Hold on. So what I want to do, though, is scan for here. Let me see if I can figure this out. What's going on? Okay. Okay, I don't use this version, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this down, and I'll use an example. But I'll just show you what I do here. Is basically when I want to look for scanning right out to shoot, anybody taking out last inside week and up, or down here, yesterday's highs, which I can change that to the daily or the weekly, and I'm going to shut this one down and bring up my version on my other computer. Because I'm old school. I don't change my software. And it was a new one just so I could show you some charts on the macros. But here, one real quick. Okay, so yesterday's highs on the week. So we knew that stuff like that would be gapping up, like telephone, which had some shenanigans during the day. Verizon, right? That's going 3-1-2 weaker on the gap. Tesla, PayPal, McDonald's, we all know. ConAgra, right? These are the guys that anybody who short this stuff certainly can be in trouble. Kroger, right? AEP and the utilities. There to a lesser extent. Let me see what else I can find for you. But you get the idea, because you want to be able to have this. And then, like when we didn't have it today, Whirlpool goes outside day. Like we knew that. IONS in the halftime show. Boom. Inside day to the upside, right? And so we didn't get it today, but let's say, here's another thing, the important lesson on how to scan for what's going on, is let's say that the market does start to roll over into here and starts coming back in here. So initially we were hoping for that continuation, which we got a little bit of. Then it reverses back up, right? So at this point, anybody that's still staying near the lows, we want to go pound them. Like if anybody starts rallying back, anybody's near the lows, pound them into the lows. Then we look for here when you start reversing on the 60. You can take those 60, some of those 60s like Labu and all this stuff off the lows. You certainly can do that, right? Like that. But you also, we can look for those guys who are taking out yesterday's highs, because that's going to stick it to them. Then if you do rally up like this, let's say that the SPY failed, like say here, and starts rolling back into the opening range, then you scan for anybody taking out the morning lows here, right? Because the reason is people got what they wanted, right? They bought, if they try to buy it down and get the gap in reverse, they got what they wanted. The market started to reverse, but if their stock stays down here and it repukes down into here, you get something like a jack in the box. And it's all over. It's all over, gang. Right in here. Boom. Puke into the lows, right? So just a little scanning lesson on that. So normally I'm a little bit longer here, but like I said, there's a ton of earnings. So we're going to be staying on these gaps. A lot of this stuff is going to change really quickly, because when you have this type of volatility, we're staying on the 60s, because the 60 is almost like a weekly chart going back to September. So you can stick with me. What I do the halftime show on Facebook Monday through Thursday at 12:30 Eastern. I tell you exactly what we're looking at, why we're doing it. Handed out a lot of good stuff, that S&PS amongst others. And I'm always here on Tuesday. I tweet out the gap list that we are watching in the morning, so you already know that. And I'm on the headset 7 hours a day, and then I come back here on Tuesdays and do a coaching session on my VTF on Thursday nights if you want to join me for that. All right, that's going to do it this week for a little shortened Wheels in Motion show, but hopefully that's helping you get where you need to be. All right, I'm Russ with the Black Quant VTF here with the Wheels in Motion show.